So welcome back to my channel. My name is Aireonna, and I'm here with the 49ers updates. I wanted to start on kind of a serious note, just to send my condolences and prayers, and I hope everything is going okay. The most recent updates that we've gotten from Kyle Shanahan, head coach of the 49ers, is that Tyron Jackson, who injured his neck today during 49ers training camp practice, he's doing okay and avoided the scary stuff. He could move his extremities, his arms, and his legs, but he was taken to Stanford Hospital after having a bit of a collision at 49ers minicamp today. He was down on the ground for about 6 minutes while he was being tended to by the trainers. An ambulance ended up coming, taking him after further evaluations to Stanford Hospital, which is not too far away from where they practice in Santa Clara at Levi's. It was unclear what happened at first. He was going against offensive tackle Isaac Arkin and was blocking him. And then suddenly he was on the ground, and there was, coaches and everyone around him trying to make sure he was okay as soon as they realized that he could not get up. Like I said, Kyle Shanahan spoke after practice, uh, asked everyone to send their prayers, but said that as far as they could tell, he, is moving, he's able to talk, he's able to raise his arms, move his fingers, all that stuff. But I really hope he continues to feel better. I think it's a neck injury is what they're hypothesizing. So my prayers go out to Jackson. I hope he's okay. And bit of a scary sight at 49ers training camp today. Kyle then asked the rest of the team if they wanted to continue with practice, which they said that they did. And so they did finish up day 4 of practice. And that's where we have some updates for you. Who was not out there? Well, Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Bosa, they had veteran rest days, so they were not supposed to be practicing. Tomorrow is the first day of padded practice, so I imagine they want to be fresh and ready and out there for tomorrow. So those guys weren't out there. But then aside from Christian McCaffrey, Bosa, and Williams, kind of shockingly, Renardo Green was not. He ended up injuring himself, and he was not out there. So the breaking news is 49ers have signed Eli Apple. Cornerback Eli Apple. He was originally with the Bengals. Then last year he was with the Chargers. I don't know if you've heard anything positive about Eli Apple in his entire career, or at least the recent, 3-4 years. But I'm hoping it's just a camp body, and they're trying to make sure that Renardo Green comes back and is healthy and can take that over. But I'm not, you don't feel great when the 49ers are having to go get a guy like that, especially when more higher names are, available. But I guess with the money that has been allocated to the 49ers this year, they felt like the only guy they could go get, with Green being out, is Eli Apple. So he has a 1-year contract, but obviously they can write that off. They worked out a bunch of cornerbacks today following Renardo Green's hamstring injury, and out of all the cornerbacks that they worked out, Eli Apple, I guess, did the best. Then good news, though. So bad news, 49ers have something up with their freaking soft tissue injuries, because Ricky Pearsall, he was out. He finally came back today. That's the good news. Jacob Cowan, he went out with a hamstring injury. Now Green has a hamstring injury. So Ricky Pearsall, he was back, and he was one of Brock Purdy's favorite targets today. He looked really good. And that's great. But the issue with Ricky isn't, does he look good when he's on the field? Is he going to stay healthy long enough to get into a good rhythm and groove with Brock Purdy, and then be able to perform on the field and be able to perform week to week when he's getting in, what many people would consider a small car crash, which is what happens when you play football every week. So I'm really hoping that Ricky Pearsall stays healthy. I'm happy that he was out there today. He was reaching his highest mile per hour numbers yesterday and the day before that. They were just trying to ramp him up to get his endurance up and everything, so he didn't pull it again. Ricky has had hamstring injuries off and on since the 49ers drafted him. But in college, he didn't really miss games with injury. So hopefully this has just been a bad start to his career, bad year one, bad luck. And then from now on, we'll see Ricky on the field. If so, that's going to be a good option for Brock Purdy because he really does like to throw to Ricky. Another guy that Brock Purdy absolutely loves to throw to is Juwan Jennings. But this isn't good. Juwan Jennings left practice early today with a calf injury. Same calf injury he had back in minicamp. He actually missed day 2 of minicamp with a calf injury. Kyle Shanahan, after practice today, spoke to the media and said, yes, it was a re-aggravation of that injury. Calves are really scary. It's, you don't want to, a lot of times they'll say, oh, it's a calf strain, and that the calf and the Achilles are very close to each other. They said that Christian McCaffrey had a calf injury for a long, long time before it came out that it was double Achilles tendonitis. I'm not saying that that's what's going on with Juwan Jennings. I mean, he apparently was struggling with this in minicamp, missed one day, and then has played great since then. But it's scary for him to miss today, especially when I was predicting that he was going to get his contract announced today before padded practice tomorrow. Because Juwan Jennings has been out there. He did not choose to hold in. He didn't choose to hold out. A lot of players will refuse to go. A lot of players like Brandon Ayuk will go to camp, but they won't participate. They'll just stand on the sidelines until they get the deal that they want. That's what Brandon Ayuk did. That's how he got paid. That's what Deebo Samuel did. Nick Bosa threatened to hold out of actual games before he got his deal. And then the 49ers have always paid their players right before padded practice or right before the season started. I assumed Juwan Jennings and Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch had some sort of deal where they were like, you go out, practice, and we're going to finalize this deal, do the finishing touches, have your agent sign off of it, and we're going to announce it in a few days. I imagine that they kind of had a pretty much deal agreed upon within the last week, and that's why he was actually participating. I feel really bad. I hope for Juwan Jennings' sake that this doesn't affect any deal that he might have gotten. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe they told Juwan Jennings, like, we're not going to pay you, and he just decided to cave and showed up anyways. I thought that the only reason he was participating was because he had some sort of agreement that he was definitely going to get paid. And the scary thing is if he had that and now he got hurt, they can back out of that. They might go, oh, no, sorry. We just got in trouble for paying a guy who then was injured the whole season. We can't do that again. Scary for Juwan Jennings. I really hope he's okay. I was wondering, he got in a fight yesterday, the day before, I think it was with Deommodore Lenoir. He got in like a fist fight with him yesterday at practice. The day before that, he screamed at Mac Jones. I thought that he's been like amped up, maybe just because of nerves. Like if he was about to get 45 million, like if he was going to get anywhere from like a 2 to 3 year deal from like 12 to 15 million, and he knew that was coming in a couple days, I'd be on edge too. I'd be like, you better throw me the ball. I better look good. I can't get injured. And it's like that tenses your body up, that stress, those nerves. That's why when the stuff with Brandon Ayuk was happening last season, I was like, you guys should pay him, because like not only, did they cave and ended up paying him more than they would have if they would have paid him early. So it's not like they saved money or anything, but also and it's not just a mental toll, and it's not just your fracturing your relationship with a player by, stressing it out, but also someone says cheerleaders unite. Boop, boop. I love cheerleaders. Hola, Ashley. Hold on. I didn't know. Are you guys talking about Greg Joseph? Greg Joseph is doing he's doing a kicker battle with Jake Moody. And the only reason I know who Greg Joseph is because his girlfriend might be ex-girlfriend. I haven't checked her social media in a long time, but like 2 years ago, we followed each other because we both went to UCSB, and she was a cheerleader and I was a cheerleader. So we followed each other, and I knew that she was dating Greg Joseph when he was on the Vikings. So when I heard his name, I was like, why do I know that name? And then I was like, oh, she's a really good cheerleader. Sorry for I got distracted by a comment. That's Greg Joseph. I don't think he's going to win the camp battle with Jake Moody. I think they're going to keep Jake Moody, which drives me crazy. But back to Juwan Jennings. The reason that I think you should, if you're the player, I understand holding out. Because if you get injured, all that money is lost. And if you're the organization and you know you're gonna eventually pay them. If you think you can actually save money, then yeah, maybe you can haggle with them a little bit. But if you're gonna end up caving and giving them whatever you want, you might as well pay them earlier, because then like you're not putting your player, not fracturing your mental emotional relationship with that player, but you're also not hurting their body. Like when you're living with that stress and tension, and like even if it's like even if Juwan Jennings thought he was going to get the money, like it's not stress. Like I don't think I'm going to get this. It's like, wow, I'm about to get this, but you're like tense. You're like, I better not hurt myself. I gotta really make sure I'm stretching. I gotta really make sure I'm going out there and catching every pass, because in 2 days, as long as I don't fuck anything up, sorry, mess anything up, then they're gonna pay me. And it sucks for Juwan Jennings. Like I said, he was dealing with that calf injury in OTAs, minicamp, and now he was out today with it. I wonder, that could be another, while I'm thinking about this live on air, maybe that's why maybe I was off. Like I assumed, I no one ever said this. I assumed they were going to pay him by padded practice tomorrow. Maybe they were like, you want to demand a trade? We'll tell the whole league that you have Achilles issues. You were just out with it. Like maybe his injury is worse than I thought, and that's how they got him to go out there. Is maybe they know something that we didn't. Israel saying, so you don't think they will pay Jennings? They might still pay him because they don't have a lot of wide receivers. Someone's saying JJ not hurt. I wonder if Eric, who is saying this, do you think that JJ himself held out today and they used that excuse? Because that could be possible too. Like maybe he actually did sparn up. He went to the last couple, 3 days of training camp and was like, "Oh, they're not paying me. I thought they were gonna pay me. I'm not gonna practice today, and I'm gonna wait, and maybe it will get announced." So if it gets announced that, if by the way, if they pay him tonight, I would say that he didn't have a calf injury today. I would say that he just held out and they just used that excuse. If they don't pay him, which I assumed they were going to pay him, I feel like they're in a situation where they might not have any option, but maybe they just, I mean, if he holds out, he's going to start having to lose money eventually when the season starts. So maybe they would just call his bluff. It's hard to say that I think that they're going to pay him if he really is injured. If he has a calf injury, how is Jed York, who all offseason has been trying to hold back and save money, they just signed Eli Apple when there's better cornerbacks out there that they don't want to go pay for. So they've been trying to save on money all offseason, going into this year. And Jed York's going to give the thumbs up to paying a guy who they already know is injured when they just did that and it bit them in the ass with Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. So Eric is saying, and this is definitely possible, he's saying, yes, Jennings is using the calf injury as an excuse to get out of camp while the new deal is solidified. I definitely think this could be possible. There were reports today, actually. Reports is, it was on Twitter and it was not announced by like Adam Schefter, but let me, I think it's that 49ers and NFL News 24/7. I mean, it's a verified account that has 50,000 followers. Let me find it. I saw it earlier. Was it them? It said 49ers wide receiver Juwan Jennings. Oh, is dealing with a calf injury. That's not what I was talking about. Oh, they deleted it. There was a tweet earlier on that did say that Jennings might have a deal incoming, a 2-year deal incoming. Let me see if Chase Sr. retweeted it. I saw it on a couple of people's things, but I wonder once he got injured if people were like, just kidding, just kidding. I should have had this pulled up. I thought I had it saved. 1 day ago. Is everyone deleting it? This is messed up. I know that I saw it earlier. Now I'm not seeing it anywhere. Eli Apple. I think people are deleting it. That's crazy. Maybe I did have it saved, but people are deleting it. What about that? You guys think I'm not prepared. Well, what if I was prepared and then people are backing out? That's crazy. No, it's not on Chase Sr. I said Ricky Pearsall was activated off PUP, right? I keep seeing that. Let me really quick. I'm gonna Google Jennings. Hopefully, Juwan Jennings shows up. Okay, this was Coach Yak, who is just an aggregator. So, we have to take this with a grain of salt. This is not like a verified beat reporter. It says Juwan Jennings and the 49ers are reportedly finalizing a 2-year contract extension, bringing his total average per year just north of 13 million. If that's possible, I mean, to me, it could be totally someone guessing. Yeah, 13 million. Jose Reyes is saying 24, so that would be a little bit less than what is being reported there. I hypothesized that they would give him between a 2 and 3 year deal, and it would be between 12 and 15. So if he held out because they're actually just finalizing the deal and later tonight or maybe tomorrow morning right before camp that's announced, then I feel good because I only feel good because then I would not believe the calf injury thing. If the calf injury is real and they sign him, that's not smart of them to do. So that's where we're at right now. Just to reiterate, since it took me a little bit of time, this seems more just like a rumor, like some 49ers guy. How many followers? This guy has 2,000 followers. I think he just made this up. Said Jennings and the 49ers are finalizing a 2-year extension, bringing his total average per year to 13 million with new guaranteed money. Oh, but then Mike Uriza, I don't know who the hell that is. Okay, the guy who David Lombardi, he like edits his YouTube videos, said, been doing some digging and some contract comps on a long-term deal, and I've come to the conclusion that Juwan Jennings would like 3 years, 36 million, 24 million total guaranteed. I think a lot of people are guessing. If a deal gets announced and Juwan Jennings is not hurt, good for Juwan Jennings. They need wide receivers right now. Ricky Pearsall has been healthy for 1 day. Jacob Cowing's not out there. They need some people to throw to. If this injury, because this is like a conspiracy, because it would mean that during mini camp, he also faked a calf injury to be out for a day. And to me, if you're going to hold out, if you're going to pretend that you have an injury to get money, you wouldn't do it for 1 day. You would do it for the entire time. Like, why would he sporadically be being like, oh, I'm going to hold out, you better pay me, and then playing the next day? Brandon Ayuk just held out full. Like, a lot of players do that. They just either don't show up or they show up and stand on the sideline. They usually don't participate some days, not participate other days, and go, you better pay me. If he's not injured, I think that they should pay him around what's being reported. 2 years is good for the 49ers, in between 12 and 15 million. If he is injured, you got to be really, really careful, because everyone on your team is injured and you just paid guaranteed money to your running back and he missed an entire year. Like, how do you look at Jed York in the face and say, please give us more money this next offseason? Like, a lot of people are hypothesizing the reason that Jed kind of pulled back on the money is because in the previous years, the 49ers have been top spenders. It's not that Jed York is against spending money. He's just saying, I'm giving you money and you're wasting it on players that are injured, on players that don't perform well in our system. Javon Hargrave is a good player, but he didn't play well in the wide 9. Like, I'm only going to give you a ton of money. Like, you can sign all dish out the money if you're going to sign A players to A contracts. Okay. But when you're signing C players or B players that are injured, or A players but they're older and injured, to A level money, that's when I'm going to start pulling back the money. So anyways, I'm going to look at some comments really quick. Hey, hi, Julie. Hope you guys are doing good. Hi, Papa J. 49ers poker. Let me see what I saw you in the comments. Okay, he isn't faking it, but it's probably just a little minor tightness and we'll be fine and not impact the contract. Maybe, but even with tightness, like if it flared up in minicamp and then Kyle said they re-aggravated it, you got to be careful with these injuries. What's up with the 49ers and the soft tissue injuries? We have Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing, Juwan Jennings, uh, Renardo Green. I think I'm missing a player too. There's like 5 players out with soft tissue injuries right now. I know that when you ramp up physical activity, if you don't warm up properly, you're at risk of getting some soft tissue injuries. Also, if you're like a little bit out of shape, as someone, by the way, I'm not like judging, as someone who ran track in college and stuff, like if I would gain a little bit of weight or not be consistently training and then I try to jump back into training, that's always when I would hurt my hamstring. Um, so uh yes, Travis. Yes. Um My Super Bowl is 49ers versus Raiders, second preseason games. I really hope the 49er invasion brings a roar. Yeah, that's going to be in Vegas. The 49ers must have some sort of like deal, or like the coaches must not even coaches, because they've gotten new coaches in the last couple of years, but maybe ownership really likes each other, because this is like the 3rd time under Kyle Shanahan that the 49ers have had joint practices with the Raiders. I actually went the year that they went to the Super Bowl. Maybe that's it. Maybe they're superstitious and they had such a bad year last year, and they're like, okay, well, last year in 2023 we had a joint practice and played the game in Vegas. So let's do that again, and maybe that'll set us up for a good year. I would say that that's not why they won the Super Bowl. It was because Christian McCaffrey was healthy and, you know, at the peak of his career, and also was um taking defenses a little bit off guard because they hadn't really seen him in the Kyle Shanahan system yet. Uh, but I'm excited for this too. I will be there. So if you guys want coverage of that game, make sure to like and subscribe. I don't always go to all the preseason games, but I feel like this year there's so many rookies on the defensive line. There's so many backup players right now at running, or not running back, yes, but also at wide receiver that are making an impact. I think that, you know, when they cut down the roster from 90 to 53, some of those decisions are going to be made based on how they perform in these preseason games. So I'm going to try to go and give you guys all the information. Gomez said his favorite player is Isaiah Nair, sorry. George Kittle might agree with you. He had high praise for Isaiah, and Isaiah did really well yesterday, had a great catch. I think he has a chance to make the team. He's not consistent, but when he does make good plays, he's splashy. And they just lost another wide receiver in Jennings being out, at least for, you know, a couple days. I think that Kyle said Renardo Green and Jacob Cowing, they're looking at the Raiders game actually that we were just talking about. August 16th is around when they're hoping that Jacob Cowing and Renardo Green are back. Everyone, please like and subscribe. Thank you. I agree. People are talking about JJ and the safety protocol. A lot of this is, you know, we're hypothesizing. So I hope the BYU product Robinson can show us anything. I've actually randomly heard a couple of the beat reporters starting to talk about him. So you might be in luck. I think he's showing out. And like I said, I think a lot of these preseason games we're going to see, and joint practices, we're going to see some matchups, especially since there's so many openings with guys being injured. A lot of these guys that would be working with the second team are now working with the first team, and would be working with the third team are now working with the second team, getting a little extra work, and, you know, could be getting the edge on some of the veterans. Thoughts on how much better this defense will be this year with Robert Saleh back at DC? I feel really excited about the defensive line. I feel really not nervous about the secondary. I think Robert Saleh is going to have an amazing impact on the entire team. He actually went over and talked to Brandon Ayuk and Ricky Pearsall today on offense, which was kind of interesting. Like when you watch him, he's obviously mostly focused on the defense. He's calling the defensive plays, but he's looking and talking to everyone. I think because he was a head coach, even before he went to the Jets, he like really was the emotional, you know, energy leadership guy for the 49ers. So I think just the impact that he's going to have. I think Nick Bosa said he has like a commanding presence that makes not only rookies, but second year players and veterans feel like they need to show up every day giving their best and like kind of have a certain order that maybe they didn't feel Nick Sorensen didn't have, command as much seriousness or discipline. Now, Nick didn't bring up Nick Sorensen's name, but he said, as opposed to our previous coordinators. So I think energy-wise, Robert Saleh is going to bring a lot. Discipline-wise, Robert Saleh is going to bring a lot. He's also really creative. Michael Williams has been used at D tackle in practice and at defensive end, with Bryce Huff on the other side of him. So I think they're going to do a lot to try to cover up, even if the secondary, because right now Malik Mustafa is still recovering from his ACL. Kyle Shanahan was asked about it, I think 3 or 4 days ago, and said that he's hoping Malik Mustafa will be back in the beginning part of the season, but there's no guarantee. So, safety position is an open battle between Richie Grant, Pinnock, and Jair Brown. We don't know who's going to win that one. It's completely open, which I do think is good. Jair Brown had a really good rookie year, but then fell off last year. So safety position. And then obviously right now we have Deommodore Lenoir at cornerback, and then Renardo Green's injured. They just signed Eli Apple. So there's a lot of the secondary scares me. D Winters has been getting a lot of praise. It's hard for me to judge. I think it's hard to judge linebackers before pads come on because they can't really run and tackle. And D Winters, I mean, he looks like a NFL football player. He's like big, but he has to stay healthy. And then he would make splash plays and be able to hit hard. But because his rookie year, I think he was like a little more amped up. A lot of times he would miss the tackle. Like he would go to jump and he'd fly in front of the guy. So D Winters has been getting a lot of praise so far, but I think tomorrow and once the pads are on, it'll be a better test. Obviously, Fred Warner's great. And then I think where Robert Saleh will really make his magic and be able to cover up if there is any weaknesses on that defense. I think that D line will be much more dominant this year, even though there's a lot of rookies there. I just think Robert Saleh is going to be creative. He's going to utilize like their strengths. Michael Williams is really good at stopping a lot of Alfred Collins, big body, like stopping the run. And I think they're going to be creative with blitzing, get Fred Warner involved in blitzing, and really try to cover up for any secondary weaknesses with a strong defensive line. So I feel pretty confident. I think I know John Lynch and Kyle said, the defense might take it, or the team might take its lumps because of all the rookies. And he was kind of hinting that, on that defense, especially that defensive line, there's a lot of rookies. I don't know if it's going to be a top 5 defense, to start the season, but I think they'll only gel and get better as the season goes on. And I'm anticipating even fairly quickly that Robert Saleh, even if they're not like completely meshed and don't totally understand, like Saleh talked about really simplifying the system and just making sure you're good at what you're good at. Do we have a timeline for Gross Matos yet? He was another one that has a knee injury. So when Kyle Shanahan talked about him, he was kind of lumping him in when he was talking about. He was asked about at the time. This was the day before it was on. It was like day 0 of training camp because it was before it was when everyone reported, but before practice actually started. That's the last time that Kyle spoke about Gross Matos, and he was actually asked about Brandon Ayuk's ACL injury, and he talked about Brandon Ayuk, Malik Mustafa, and Gross Matos, and basically just said they're hoping that all of those guys at different points, but at some point in the beginning half of the season, return. I would think Gross Matos returns sooner because originally when they talked about it, they acted like he was going to be back for camp. That's clearly, not happening yet. But no, we don't have any solid answers. Maybe tomorrow. Who talked today? Oh, yeah. So tomorrow, I think Robert Saleh talks. I'll definitely ask a beat reporter to clarify that with Robert Saleh. I hope I'm not wrong about Robert Saleh talking tomorrow. Yesterday, it was special teams. So that means today it was because it goes Kyle one day, Saleh next day, Bryant Boyer, which is the special teams coordinator, day after, and then players scattered on that. So maybe Robert Saleh will have a better answer because I think Kyle was pretty purposely vague about it because he doesn't like when reporters ask him and then he's wrong and they give they check in, follow up with him. And yeah. I'm gonna move on from the comments to get back to some of the updates that I had. Like I said, Jawan Jennings with that calf injury, Renardo Green out, Ricky was back, so that was good. Um, there was a couple other things from today's practice that I found interesting. Diamondo Lenore was asked after by Grant about the incident that took place in LA in late June, which he was like arrested, but it was kind of foggy because he wasn't doing anything wrong. Or he ended up doing something wrong, but he wasn't the one that was stopped. He was with some hometown friends in a car. A cop came over to them, I guess, suspecting that they had weed. The car was not moving, but they ended up getting all the guys out of the car. The guy whose actual car it was threw his keys to his friend. That friend threw the keys to Diambro Lenore, and the cop was asking as they were throwing the keys around, "Can I have the keys? Can I have the keys?" And instead of giving the keys over, Demo, threw the keys to the next guy. So he got arrested for that. This is what Diamond Lenore had to say. I think Demo is, a really good guy. This wasn't like he was being violent to anyone. Wasn't like he was like drinking and driving. Wasn't even his car. He was going back to his hometown, visiting friends in a situation that he shouldn't have been in, and probably reacted not the way that he should have. But to me, it sounds more like a mistake than like you're a terrible person. It also seems kind of weird that the cop like came up to them when they weren't doing anything wrong. They just suspected that they were doing something wrong. But this is what Demo said. "I'm a different person than I was 5 years ago. Just being at the right place, not really hanging out in areas that I shouldn't be. So I want to apologize to my teammates, the organization, and my coaches, and to my family for my mistake." Lenore said he had not had any update yet on the status of his case or a potential dismissal of the charges, because like I said, he didn't really do anything wrong, so there's a possibility that the charges get dismissed. It was obstruction of justice is what he was originally charged with. But I felt like that was good and reflective of Lenore. Right now, Lenore, he just got paid. He's the only, healthy, solidified player in that secondary. So I respect that he seems to be growing up in front of, our eyes and had a really mature answer and was prepared for the question, because I'm sure that's uncomfortable. It's not necessarily about football, but he had to have known that it was coming. And I thought it was reflective, short, simple, but I thought it was nice of him to apologize and try to take accountability for his actions. Let me see. People in the comments are fighting about stuff. His answer on Jennings was even better. Yeah, he said that's just how we greet each other, right? I mean, both Jennings and Deandre Lenore have a little bit of, pizzazz to them, a little bit of snarkiness, ego. They both like to call other players out. They both like to rile up other players and get the other player thrown out of the game. But they like to walk a line, which I think you kind of want in your cornerback. But what is Julie said that Kyle's demeanor and attitude is the only low energy vibe, just pisses me off, to be honest. Yeah, he's definitely a little bit opposite of, not a little bit, he's completely opposite of Robert Saleh, who is a little more low energy than previously, where he used to have a guy have to like hold him back, but he's very like commanding and mature and seems emotionally intelligent, at least with his players. So the offense needs to carry early in the season, and then the defense hopefully gets cohesion by the playoffs. Is the offense going to be able to carry them, though? They don't. Who are they going to? I mean, they're going to have to just throw the ball to George Kittle a lot. Luke Farrell's going to be in there blocking. Kittle's going to be a full-time pass catcher. Christian McCaffrey hopefully will stay healthy. If they can utilize Jordan James or the UDFA running back that they have, and have those two take the hard yards that are down the middle. And then Christian McCaffrey hopefully can get out wide, do more pass catching. Even Isaac Rendo has the ability to pass catch, but they're going to have to be creative, especially if Jawan Jennings really is hurt. And then Ricky Pearsall is going to have to prove that he can stay healthy, which I hope so. But I agree that this is probably what needs to happen. The offense needs to be able to carry the defense as they build, build understanding of the system and with each other as teammates, and then they'll really be a solidified unit by playoffs if everyone's healthy. It's going to be a tough ask with how many injuries they have, and they haven't even started joint practices and preseason yet. So, someone said I always liked Eli Apple. That's kind of funny. I feel like everything that I've ever heard about Eli Apple is not great. True stat, the top 5 head coaches that have been successful successful enough to reach the playoffs and the Super Bowl in the last 10 years as follow: Reed, Belichick, Shanahan, McVay, and Carroll. I have a lot of respect for Sean McVay. I think he does a really good job at, like, how I was just talking about Robert Saleh being both an energy guy, but also very mature and like commanding discipline and respect and like a certain level of attentiveness from his players. I think he does really, like, I think he's very good at having that line of, I'm a friendly, politician guy, and I'm emotional, and when you do good, I'm going to dap you up and I'm going to congratulate you. And when you do bad, I'm going to let you have it. But also feeling, professional, where Kyle is just, in my opinion, a little bit more reserved and quiet. But I'm not in his team. I know that some of his players like him. But yeah, I think McVay does a really good job at being able to let players that are no longer performing go and still keep healthy relationships with all the players that he has. I know that who's the guy that made the catch? Beckham? How am I wide receiver for the Rams, but previously he was a wide receiver on the Ravens. Anyways, I like Sean McVay. Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion, to be in this list has to win a Super Bowl. But I see your point. I see your point. OBJ. That's what I was talking about. OBJ, literally the Rams like let him go, like cut him from the team, and then OBJ still went to Sean McVay's wedding. Because I think that there's some real like friendship and respect that goes on between Sean McVay and his players. I felt like he had Odell Beckham, yeah. I felt like he 2 or 3 years ago, he talked about how he treated the Jared Goff situation, and much like with Deommodore Lenoir, I felt like he was really reflective in the comments that he made today. Sean McVay was super reflective and basically was like, I feel like I was really immature and I kind of like shit on him in a way that I shouldn't have. And basically I was under a lot of pressure to win. I was a, first time coach and I was excited to get this new quarterback. But if I were to do it again, I would not talk about Goff in the way that I did. And I found it to be, it came off as genuine. Who knows if it was, but it came off as genuine. And since then, we've only seen him talk about his players with a lot of respect, and clearly his players like him enough because they're getting cut and then still going to his wedding. But anyways, I really appreciate you guys coming and watching this live. I just wanted to give you guys the most important updates from practice today. And I'll be doing that again tomorrow when the pads come on. So that'll be much more exciting. And like I said, Nick Bosa, Trent Williams, and Christian McCaffrey, who all had like veteran rest days, I'm sure that they'll be out there tomorrow. I don't know if they'll be going 100%. Part of me thinks that they will because there's going to be pads. But the other part of me, on like day 0, when Kyle Shanahan and John did that press conference, they said that after rest days, they like to have like a ramp up day. And then it's the next day after. So you have rest day, ramp up day, and then that next day is when you have your hardest practice. So maybe it'll be Tuesday is the hardest practice. But I know that they have their pads on tomorrow, so it'll be interesting. I'm going to keep an eye out for like D winners, linebackers. It's a little hard to tell when they don't have the pads on. So I'll be sure to ask about that. And then maybe someone can also ask about Gross Matos too. I'll be sure to give you guys an update on him. Thank you guys, everyone who commented. Make sure to like and subscribe because I'm trying to do one of these after every single practice. And like I said, some of the preseason games that I'll be going to as well. So I really appreciate you guys. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, and have a good